Wait. MTN they dash.
MTN they dash 20 times any amount where you take recharge. Now be say if you load 100 naira, now 2,000 naira be that straight.
Oh, so you mean say if I load 200 naira, now 4,000 naira be that? Sure. I don't dump bicycle, they slip since.
They the wrong commentary now.
Guy, I dey go find my MTN SIM sharp.
Yes, so if you never use your MTN SIM for the past 45 days or more, time don't reach to come back and begin enjoy plenty awoof as MTN go dash you 20 times your first recharge of every month. Oh yo, everybody don't go reactivate your MTN SIM. You still there wait? If you no fit find your SIM, sharply go any MTN office to do SIM swap and enjoy your own awoof. Terms and conditions they shall.
You're tuned in to the Front Page News on Classic FM 97.3.
Good morning. It's Front Page News and Analysis on Classic FM 97.3. You can send your text messages to 33973, Twitter Classic FM 973, and also post your comments on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Classic FM 973. Jimmy, are you sleeping?
Yeah, kind of.
You can't be tired. You're just back from holidays.
No, it's not. It has not to do that. I think it's inside me, you know. After you read all the nonsense in the papers, just sometimes you just want to block your mind. Well, let me wake up and let's get ready to work. Yeah.
Okay, then let's get started. We have the New Telegraph. Killings. Senators call for emergency rule in Benue as 6 banks earn 188.4 billion naira profits in 3 months. And killings, this is the headline we're seeing all through the newspapers this morning. Senseless killings all around. It says Senate summons Buhari to address NAS. Don't you think it's important for the president to address NAS, Jimmy?
He cannot. You see what? This is a security matter. And what I thought the Senate president would have done is to get the leadership of the Senate, of the National Assembly, to go into a closed-door meeting. How can you tell the president to address the whole National Assembly on security matters? That's not how things are done.
But they say he's the CNC when things...
No. I'm saying because it is a security matter. You can't address a whole...
Because it's security.
Yeah, what you'll end up getting is a lot of grandstanding and you won't get any real facts to go by. But the leader... It's because our National Assembly are not well... They've not positioned themselves well. They're more interested in their private interests. That the leadership of the National Assembly could have had a meeting... If I had been working with Buhari all along, the issue of these Takoma planes or whatever would not have cropped up. But we have a National Assembly really and truly that is more interested in their own personal progress. But
we need to get to the bottom of the killings.
So, I mean, that accounts for the reason why you found that this morning I just,
And the Catholic bishop is asking the president to resign as a result of that, and that's the headline from the Punch this morning.
I can understand the feelings of the Catholic bishop. I mean, it's from deep inside them. They've lost 2 priests and so on and so forth. However,
and another church was
I'm going to beg them. I have to beg them because to show a bit of restraint, and let's see how we can manage this current crisis. It's beyond what the Catholic bishops themselves think. You understand? There's a lot of politics. I maintain there's a lot of politics going on in this thing, and therefore we have to be extremely careful. But I understand. Sorry?
I said intelligence should come to play. Let's dig out who the sponsors are. I
would hope that the federal government and the security forces will know what they are contending with. Why they can't tell us at least half of the truth, I really don't know. But there is more than meets the eye in these attacks. This is a well-planned whatever. Who to favor who is what I don't know and I cannot fathom. Even if I did, I wouldn't say it on air.
So we'll keep talking about it until it stops. At this one, we're starting in detail with this morning. Says Milaye, IG shuns Senate invitation. The Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, failed to appear before the Senate on Thursday, and this angered the lawmakers.
I have 2 reactions to this. I have the official reaction as an analyst, and then I have another reaction as Jimmy Disu, which is just between me and you. Not you, Buki, me and all the listeners. Let's keep it to ourselves. But first of all, let me give you my official reaction is that the Inspector General, if summoned by the National Assembly he should attend. You understand? It should go. That's my official reaction. If you call by the National Assembly to discuss the travails of a senator, no matter who you think that senator is or how you might perceive him, I think the Inspector General should go. He should have gone. He sent a DIG because he was busy, but I think he should have found time to go and answer that call. Now my reaction as Jimmy Diso, give that guy a cigar. That's my man of the week. I'm glad he called their bluff. Now this is me talking. This is my person. I was so glad. I was so excited.
But wouldn't you
I threw a black power sign in the air and gave him one bossa. He ignored them completely. Sent some. I don't condone things like that, but we've gotten to the precipice where these senators have, they have to be confronted head on. The head of the president of the Senate, you allowed this guy escape when the police wanted to arrest him in the first instance. You created the crisis. You created the monster. You understand what I'm saying? If in other countries, even the Senate president would have been charged, with aiding and abetting a suspected criminal to escape. That is, look, if you don't look at the personnel involved, that's what it is. That you aided and abetted the escape, or you aided the arrest, the resistance to arrest of a suspected criminal. That's what it is. And you now grandstanding now say that the man should come and appear before you. Of course he won't go. And I said yesterday that he shouldn't go. Somebody must have told him that in Lagos they're telling you not to go. He sent somebody and continued with his job. In any case, they can't remove him. He needs to be focused. You see, unfortunately, the Inspector General doesn't have too much of a good reputation in the past. Image in the past. Given the various things that have been ascribed to him. But in continuing his job, he just needs to be focused. If you find yourself in the position of an Inspector General, do your job diligently without fear or favor. And luckily, from what I hear, I'm not anywhere. I'm not in the bedroom of power. I'm not even in the corridor. I'm not even next door to the house of power. But from what I hear, from my own privileged position, is that generally President Buhari always leaves you to do your job as you deem fit, and it doesn't interfere. So he sent the DIG, and then there was grandstanding again, and they told him to come on Wednesday, that they want to see him in person. And then in reacting, for you to know how these senators think that they are smarter than every other person God placed on earth, they started talking about the Benue killings. He needs to come and explain the Benue killings. He needs to go, But yesterday, the president of the Senate was saying that, we want to come and explain this, whatever. And then we use the opportunity. I bet it is right, the second bit. You woke up from a nice dream.
Federal government stops movement of herdsmen arranging to take off in 5 states, Nigeria to end ECOWAS free movement. Advocates of ranching have won their battle at the National Council. Yesterday agreed to stop herdsmen movement, starting with 5 states, Benue, Taraba, Adamawa, Kaduna, and Plateau.
So you say that it is not as if the government has really and truly not been doing anything like we're made to believe. It's just that you just get a feeling. You just get this feeling that this government is very slow to react. But then again, I can jolly well understand. If there's so many T's to be crossed and I's to be dotted before you can implement a policy. And so the new policy says that the National Economic Council yesterday agreed to stop herdsmen movement starting with 5 states, Benue, Taraba, Adamawa, Kaduna, and Plateau. They are the states mostly affected by the bloodletting sparked by herdsmen-farmers clash. The council supported the immediate creation of ranches across the country. By State Governor David Umah, he told State House correspondents at the end, of the NEC meeting chaired by Vice President Ochibajo. According to him, the 5 states are expected to provide land for ranching. Even the government can run the ranches. Just like running a car park, you bring in your cows, you pay a stipend per cow for it, and life goes on.
Ibadan Oyo is doing something like that. You have to register your cows. You have to do certain things.
Okay, the unfortunate thing about most things most issues in Nigeria is that they're always tainted with personal interest, political, religious, and so on and so forth. What is the big deal about a state setting up a ranch and letting people bring your cow? You pay per cow, they give you a receipt, and there you go. It's so simple. Or you have the land, you tell the owners of the cattle to pay for the land or something. And what some of the things that I hear, it always baffles me. Some of the things that I hear make me sometimes believe that I'm in Corona school. The kind of things that people, the kind of fears that people have, you know. But so now at least, so what it means is that if you now see any movement, you understand, if you have military in these places and they now see any movement, you no longer can move your cows anyhow. So where would you be moving to? Then we'll know what we're facing. Then we'll know whether it's really the issue of herdsmen or is beyond that. What Buhari said, even though it's unfortunate, is probably part of the truth. That a lot of these people are, the man is speaking from knowledge, from security knowledge. You might not like what he says. It might not sound palatable to you. But I don't believe that, a man like President Buhari, who gets security briefings regularly, won't know what he's talking about.
Well, we'll move on to this. We'll tie the story. We have two editorials. Buhari's empty boast on Benue killings. And this commentary says here, President Buhari should resolve to end the bloodbath now. Which of the papers is that now? This is this one is the Punch, and this one, the Punch editorial. I love Punch editorials, honestly. Though I don't agree with one or two things here, but this is a Punch editorial on Buhari's empty boast on Benue killings, and it says here, it starts by saying, President Muhammadu Buhari's repeated assurances that he would end the outrageous killings in Benue State seem to be an empty boast. This is evident in the latest orgy of killings by Fulani herdsmen terrorists. I think that word Fulani, you put a question mark on it. We need to investigate properly and find out whether these are Fulani herdsmen or they're just bandits. But I don't want to have that argument again. So they go into the story of what has happened recently. And this is what they have to say again. This is the point. It says, with the president cutting a picture of confusion and helplessness, 24 hours later, the terrorists struck in the Umenga in Mbadugwem Council Ward and Nopakasi in Sagev in Guma local government and killed 22 persons. The House of Representatives held a plenary. The daily bloodshed strongly suggests that under Buhari, Nigeria is sliding rapidly into anarchy. Why is this not obvious to the president, a former military general whom in 2015 the electorate entrusted with the onerous task of saving the country from its insecurity? Again, this Punch editorial, this particular one, the language could have been slightly better. You need to write these things with a bit of caution. Let me tell you what I mean. Listen to this paragraph. It says, the Fulani brigandage. Now that is, you have to be careful. Why don't you say what is suspected to be Fulani brigandage? If you have to use the word Fulani at all. These things have implications. And when we write, when the written word has to be chosen carefully, and I hope the Punch editorial team will take note of that. The Fulani brigandage, have you shown us the proof that is actually a completely Fulani brigandage? But let's leave that. So it says the Fulani brigandage is firstly because of inept governance, which permits herders to practice open grazing. That has now been taken care of. This is an obsolete method that endangers violence. As we have repeatedly canvassed, open grazing should be outlawed and Fulani herders disarmed. Brazil, Australia, and United States and other Latin American countries rich in cattle farming adopted ranching as a solution to this malady long ago. So we've gone beyond that now with the latest news that we have. Anyway, they end by saying that along with the fight against Islamic insurgency, the president should display candor, expertise, and determination needed to stop the bloodletting. All right.
And then there's a second one, right?
Yes, there's.
It's
behind. I gave both to you.
Okay, I'm slow this morning, I tell you. So, okay, now the Nation also talks about the same thing, and it's titled Benue Killings. And it says President Buhari should resolve to end the bloodbath now. Yeah, we have to call on him. The Benue State Commissioner of Police, I'm reading from within the editorial, says Fatai Owusheni, you remember Fatai Owusheni of Lagos before, confirmed the allegation that the atrocities were perpetrated by Fulani herdsmen when he told the media that preliminary investigations indicated that the herdsmen had stayed in the area for a while before executing the dastardly act. Speaking to this newspaper's correspondent on the telephone after Wednesday attack, Owoseni described the unnecessary bloodletting as going beyond herdsmen farmers clash or communal clashes. It is pure murderous insurgency. These people are engaged in unconventional warfare and sheer killings. The truth is, you almost have a Boko Haram kind of crisis on your hands. And the nation says that it is curious that these herdsmen are able to strike at will, achieve their nefarious objectives, and get away practically every time without being apprehended, despite heavy military presence in and around Benue State. Ironically, the same military that has exhibited pathetic helplessness in curtailing the terrorist acts of marauding herdsmen in Benue and other states moved with uncharacteristic alacrity on April 19 to allegedly burn down major parts of Naka headquarters of Gwe local government and area of the state. Newspapers need to be very, very careful. This incident has not been well investigated. For all you know, it could be another set of bandits who put on a Nigerian army uniform. You need to be careful in your choice of language. You know, people might wonder, what is Jimmy saying? We can see these things. No. If you're somebody, you need to sit back and investigate carefully. All kinds of mischief is going on. What is fella say uniform na cloth na tailor this one? Anybody can get any army uniform wear and commit an act of crime. So we need to be careful here. Even armed robbers sometimes operate in army uniform. Okay. But they finally say that it is time for the president to inject new blood into the leadership of the military and other security agencies, both in the interest of staff morale within these organizations and the overall security of the country. And I agree with that.
Dari says here, what is going on in our country? The issue of herdsmen killings in other parts of West Africa are being resolved amicably. Cameroon, Mali issues are being resolved. Why is it difficult to resolve this issue in Nigeria?
Because our own issue has been tainted with all kind of political and religious. In the other countries, it's a bit more straightforward. You see, that's why I say, people who give comments on these things have to be very, very careful. It's not peculiar to Nigeria. You understand? Mm-hmm. But in our own case, there's a political consideration, is being fueled, all kinds of things are being committed, even in the name of these same people. Okay. But like Captain Blade said, the security expert that I have, he says these people are just sheer bandits.
Oyewale says here, Uncle should please be more clear on what he meant that PMB can't be summoned by NAS. He's called to brief the NAS on what he has done over killings. And he says, please don't call it the truth.
Oh my God. Listen, I don't know why people don't understand simple things. I did not say he cannot be called by NAS. I never said anything like that. Play back the tape. We don't have anything. What I said is that it would have been much, much better if he had a closed door meeting with the leadership of and it's quite obvious. You can't talk about security issues with about 500 people in a hall. Even in the army, you don't go briefing 500 military officers at the same time. There are various levels of revelation that you understand what I'm saying. That's all that I said. I didn't say he can't be summoned. You see, the problem that you have is what has just manifested. Before you know it, somebody is going to start tweeting it, and that is exactly what also happens to those in power. If you talk to like ministers or whatever, they will tell you that I never said this. This is not what I said. I never said that PMB cannot be summoned. I never said that. I said it would have been better if he had a closed door meeting with the leadership of the National Assembly.
Ismail says, God bless you, Uncle Jimmy. Our NAS are just there for their own interest. We'll take a break and we'll be right back.
Time don't reach to chop life with Ogbonge bonus from MTN. Just find that your own MTN SIM card where you never use for the past 45 days or more. Load 100 naira to get 2,000 naira. Check them and begin use them. If you no fit find your SIM, sharply go any MTN office to do SIM swap and enjoy your own awoof. Terms and conditions they shall.
You're tuned in to the Front Page News on Classic FM 97.3.
Front Page News on Classic FM 97.3. Ekweremadu selling off undeclared assets in US, London, says presidential panel. The Special Presidential Investigation Panel for the Recovery of Public Property has accused Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu of engaging in clandestine sale of his assets in the United States in a purported bid to render useless the order of forfeiture being sought against him.
The Ekweremandus issue is quite novel. The federal government had listed a number of properties that were credited to him that he was supposed to have bought. Of course, he denied it. But now they're going further, and they're now accusing him of engaging in clandestine, I'm reading what the accusation is now, sale of his assets in the U.S. in a purported bid to render useless the order of forfeiture being sought against him. And this allegation was made in a counter affidavit it filed on May 16, 2018, and deposed to by Johanna Sankuk of the law firm of Festus Kayamo, S.A.N., and so on and so forth. Well, that is an accusation against him. I think at some point the gentleman would have to defend himself. But from the list that I saw of the properties that he was said to, now watch my language, he was said to have acquired, that list is very, very intimidating, but it doesn't surprise me. I know that there's a strong possibility that in reality, to be honest with you now, outside the Ekweremandus case, even with all the revelations that you get to hear every day, I don't think people actually have a good idea of how much of our resources, of how much of what is in the cookie jar, is left or has been taken away. When I saw the list, it was quite mind-boggling and very, very unfortunate. And I also believe that I think because of his position, it's being handled with kid gloves. I don't think that under a democratic dispensation, you can actually fight corruption. I think corruption has to be fought in what I would call a rougher way. And that cannot be done under... There's too much leeway. You understand what I'm saying, Buki? There's too much leeway. I was a full-grown adult back in 84 when this same Buhari, as a military officer, when he fought corruption. I have a fair idea, some of us have a fair idea of what happened way back with Rawlings in Ghana when he fought corruption. Unfortunately, democracy doesn't allow you this.
But they say it's one-sided. They say the fight against corruption.
Well, one-sided or not, Africa is going to have to decide what kind of government it wants to practice. This democracy that we are practicing is becoming a very, very big joke. You understand what I'm saying? We are going to have to make up our mind what kind of governance we really want for ourselves. The insult that we get from those, I put the insult in parentheses, that we get from those who have frittered a lot of our money away is unimaginable. And here we are, day in, day out, looking so helpless. There's nothing we can do.
Is there really nothing we can do?
There's nothing we can do. You can't eat your cake and have it.
All right.
If you didn't have democracy and you had some form of dictatorship, all this nonsense won't arise.
But is that the right form of leadership we need?
If that's what suits us, so be it. I'm getting tired of what. So if we say it's not the right one, what have we with what we have now? So be it.
With dictatorship.
So be it. Then you know how to behave yourself.
In spite of it.
So be it. This democracy we are practicing is not working. A democracy where a man is a suspected criminal because he's a senator, you stop the proceedings for the day. I would have thought, for example, in that case, we say, okay, let Senator so and so please go and visit this gentleman and come back and give us a report. And
but
let's
it's the caliber of people we have there. If you had people,
you will always have this kind of people. This time next year after the elections, you and I will be saying the same thing. I'm getting frustrated, but I'm also facing reality because that is the way we are. The leaders are a reflection of the way we are.
I'm not like that.
You are like that.
I'm not.
You are.
I'm not.
You are.
I'm not.
You are.
I'm not. Mufa Stephen says there's surely more to this supposed headsman killing, and I agree with JD on this. The actions and inactions of our politicians, especially those in the National Assembly, point lots of accusing fingers to them.
Almost every finger in Nigeria is a potential cookie jar occupant. Almost every finger. So you know why?
Godfrey says Mr. Jimmy talks as if he's privy to some information the public doesn't have access to.
Of course, I'm privy to information.
You are too clinical in your analysis of the Catholic bishop's remark and the ongoing ethnic cleansing in Benue and the entire Middle Belt.
I'm supposed to be clinical. I'm supposed to be clean. Is that not what clinical means?
Clinical.
I'm supposed to be clinical means that you're too clean. So be it.
Abu Otena says, when I said that Saraki was the president of this own self-declared country, some did not believe me. But I think it is becoming much more open that the senators are operating in their own country, which is certainly not Nigeria.
Guess what? If Saraki doesn't run for the presidency, he'll still be a senator this time next year.
Okay, somebody thinks you're one hypocrite.
Yeah, fine, so be it. I'm a hypocrite, so what? It doesn't bother me.
Stinks.
He let it stink. Buki, it doesn't bother me. Those who want to wallow in deceit and want to keep deceiving themselves, good luck to them. It doesn't bother me one bit.
Okay, Justice Omokosi said, Uncle Jimmy, stop defending the Fulani tribe. You just read in The Nation that have confirmed those killers.
I did not. I'm not. You see, again, there you go. This is not a matter of for or against. It's a matter of fact. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not defending my Fulani. I don't have any Fulani stalking me. But it is clear that we have to be very careful in our choice of language.
And somebody says here in talking
you know
about
that initially they wanted to taint the Boko Haram issue with the practice of Islam. Initially, if you remember, Buki, people went on and on. Islam until it became clearer. And I'm saying, let us be cautious. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, he said, somebody, I saw a tweet earlier, we said, but at some point, the Mieti Allah apparently claimed responsibility for some killings way back. But let's take the Metro News now.
Nigeria is a very difficult country. It's a difficult country to govern. It's a difficult country to do news analysis on. Right. Let's look at the Metro News. Command naps, this is the Punch. Command naps pastor for allegedly kidnapping boy. Leaked WASC papers. Police begin investigation as Punchman petitions Lagos CP. Sergeant kills motorcycle rider over 50 naira bribe. Yeah. Look at this. Varsity student dies in Calabar. Kerosene explosion. You better be careful with the kerosene that you're buying. Yeah, must be mixed. Man steals, you see what I'm saying? Man steals army uniform in barracks. Youth protest tailor's death, raise police officer's house. And Lagos News, Lagos 66,500 minimum wage. I don't know if that will help us. Ambode advises workers on service delivery, and Lagos got 43 billion investment proposals. And also in the Vanguard, you have Navy intercepts ship with 18 Nigerians, 388 other African returnees from Gabon. Commotion in Abakaliki as Okada riders protest killing of colleague by policemen over 50 naira. Man impersonates late father, forges title documents for 40 million bank loan. Angry youth said police officers house ablaze in Edo State over boy's death, and there are a few other stories that are also there. So that's about bulk of what we have.
Ajikao says our politicians is democracy.
It's hard to say to you.
That means they've sucked us dry. Is that could we say that?
But you see, but the same Ajikao, if a politician comes to his area, he'll be taking selfies and.
Is he like that? Ajikawa, are you like that?
Ajikawa is like that.
You have been pointing fingers this morning.
I think I know.
And the rest is pointing back at you.
Ajikawa is like that. He should come and prove that he's not like that. I challenge him. Come to the studio.
Elizabeth says, good morning, Lady B and Bros J. The killings are plots. Let's start opening up about our security observations. And Ajikawa goes on to say, Dino and Omo Agege issues have led credence to the fact that politicians are the godfathers to thugs. Then this one says, there is politics in attacks in Benue, but no politics in Dino's ordeal. And
what does that mean?
Well, he goes on to say you're biased. You know, you talked about the fact that there are political inclinations to.
So I'm biased. Sure, no problem. I have no problem with that.
And this one says here,
I welcome him.
Franklin goes on to say, there is no right or wrong style of government. There is only what is fitting for the people. Many countries do not practice democracy, and yet are way better than Nigeria that is practicing so-called democracy. And what were we practicing way back during the Awolowo and Tafawa Balewa time?
No, it was parliamentary system.
Did it work? It looks like it worked because there was
if it worked, you wouldn't have had a coup.
Okay.
If it worked, you wouldn't have had a coup in 1966. And it has nothing to do with North-South issues. It's selfish issues of the leaders.
So when you hear,
look, if you look at the average Nigerian, he has no problem with his neighbor. When people say that they are marginalized, you remember one time FM97 said, Yorubas are marginalized in this government. I was one of those who quickly doused the fire to say that, look, you guys, if you have any problems, go and sort it out. How can anybody? Yorubas are gaining the most as a group in this current government as we speak. If you do a proper analysis, forget all the diversions that are made saying the north is this and the north is that. The Yorubas are very, very strategically placed in this dispensation. Yes, but they came and said, "Oh, Yorubas are marginalized." Then we now remembered what happened. When some of them got 100 million and so on and so forth, and dismissed it.
So what happened to that 100 million naira story?
I don't know. Maybe the kidnappers took it.
Almana Hope says, I agree with you, Uncle JD, on this our democracy in Nigeria. We do need a different kind of leadership, call it whatever. All right, thank you very much, Jimmy.
I thought somebody would say that I'm talking about the Yorubas because I'm Fulani.
You've been set free. Go start your holiday, your weekend, I mean.
Thank you very much.
Sports Express is right after.
Guy, now what for you? Where your MTN SIM day?
MTN SIM? The price I drop on one side.
I don't call you since last week now. You don't miss many things. So business day, I say I call you. Your phone say not available. I call say me go arrange another hustle. Your phone still say not available. I call say me I tell you say MTN not they dash some people 20 times any amount where they recharge.
Wait. MTN they dash.
MTN they dash 20 times any amount where you take recharge. Now be say if you load 100 naira, now 2,000 naira be that straight.
Oh, so you mean say if I load 200 naira, now 4,000 naira be that? Sure. I don't jump bicycle, they slip SIM.
They said the wrong commentary now.
Guy, I go find my MTN SIM sharp. Yes, so if you never use your MTN SIM for the past 45 days or more, time don't reach to come back and begin enjoy plenty awoof as MTN go dash you 20 times your first recharge of every month. Oh yo, everybody don't go reactivate your MTN SIM. You still the wait? If you no fit find your SIM, sharply go any MTN office to do SIM swap and enjoy your own awoof. Terms and conditions they shall.